I'm Ken Zellen with McIntosh Lab, and I'd like to introduce you to the McIntosh MI128 and MI254 power amplifiers. You might be wondering what the I in MI254 is about. Macintosh amps usually have model numbers that begin with MC. Macintosh had a tradition years ago of calling the industrial versions of their amps the MI series. They had metal faceplates and were rack-mountable. The MI75 and MI350 shown here are examples. The MI254 and MI128 have metal faceplates with beautiful black glass inserts and come with rack mounts in the box, so the I series has been reborn. They share many common features. Both are made at the McIntosh factory in Binghamton, New York, using the latest surface mount device components. Their Class D circuits are very efficient. That reduces the required size of the power supply and heat sinking. These amps will fit where traditional McIntosh amplifiers won't. An all-new, totally modular design, their internal construction is like a work of art with very few wires to pick up noise. McIntosh's patented Sentry monitor circuit protects the amplifiers from shorted speaker wires without fuses, which are a real nuisance. Loudspeaker Guard, a version of McIntosh's famous Power Guard anti-clipping circuit for Class D amplifiers, prevents distortion if the amplifier is overdriven. This helps prevent the harsh sound of clipping and the chance of speaker damage. Power control trigger jacks allow for remote power on-off commands. Music sensing circuits automate the amplifiers when connected to sources that lack triggers. High flexibility is built in, and we'll dive deeper into that in a moment. Let's take a closer look at the MI254 first. The MI254 is a 4-channel power amplifier. Output is 250 watts per channel into 8 ohms. That's continuous RMS power across the entire sound spectrum, with all channels operating simultaneously. Its power increases to 320 watts per channel into 4 ohm speakers. 4 ohms is the impedance of most speakers at low frequencies, which is where you need the greatest power. With over 3 dB of dynamic headroom, the amplifier can deliver over 600 watts per channel on peaks. That's more than enough power for almost any speaker. The MI254 is equipped with McIntosh's solid metal gold-plated speaker connectors that accept banana plugs, spade lugs, or bare wire and will make a very solid connection. Balanced and unbalanced inputs are included. Use balanced cables whenever possible to prevent noise pickup through cables from compromising the amplifier's low noise floor. McIntosh's iconic blue watt meters help you stay within the power limits of your speakers. The left meter reads the higher power of channels 1 and 2, and the right meter reads the higher power of channels 3 and 4. Bus inputs allow you to share one source to multiple channels without having to use Y cables. Let's take a moment to look at some applications for the MI254. Use the MI254 to add 4 additional channels to an existing home theater system to power the height speakers. You can use it to power 2 additional zones that have high-performance speakers. You can buy-amplify a pair of speakers for better sound. Specify the MI254 where a traditional McIntosh power amplifier is too large, or when you want a lower-cost, high-power option. The bi-amplification sound improvement will be the icing on the cake. Let's take a brief tour of the rear panel to view the flexibility. Each channel has a balanced XLR input, an unbalanced input, and a pair of speaker terminals. 2 sets of bus inputs allow multiple channels to share one source without having to use Y cables. Two sets of bus outputs allow you to pass the signal along to additional amplifiers. Each channel can link to the local input jack or either of the two bus inputs. There's a power control trigger input as well as a trigger output to daisy chain to other components in the system. Now let's examine the 8-channel MI128 in depth. It will output 120 watts per channel into 8 ohms across the sound spectrum with all channels operating simultaneously. Into 4 ohms, the power goes up to 160 watts per channel. Like the 254, the MI128 has huge peak power output, over 300 watts per channel into 4 ohm speakers. That's much higher than most 8-channel amps can deliver, and this is McIntosh power, with all channels operating and with low distortion. 2 bus inputs and outputs provide flexibility for sharing 1 or 2 sources among many channels. Additionally, there are 2 digital inputs and 2 McIntosh quality DACs in the amplifier. Each one can accept an optical or coax digital cable. They can be assigned to any or all channel pairs. When used, say, in a 4-zone streaming multi-room system, 2 of the zones can have upgraded sound by using the DAC and the amplifier instead of the streamer. This is a big sound upgrade with many of the popular, moderately priced streamers. Plug-in Phoenix connectors allow for the plugs to be installed and labeled as wires are run for an easy installation later. They can accept up to 14-gauge wire. Level controls for each channel permit balancing speaker levels. This is important when there are outside speakers, which usually require a much higher volume setting. Each channel pair can be set to its local input, either of the 2 bus inputs or either of the digital inputs. Use the mono switch for large areas that require multiple speakers without stereo sound, such as a long hallway. Specify the MI128 when you want to power 4 music zones with clean, dynamic McIntosh power. Use it to power many speakers in a single zone. Individual channel level controls allow for fine-tuning the balance between speakers. The MI128 can also power a 7.1 home theater in all but the largest rooms, using the 8th channel to power a passive sub or leaving it idle. Remember to wire the system with cabling that will attach to Phoenix connectors. The MI series from McIntosh. Powerful, flexible, and compact. Thank you.